I never imagined I'd be the one unraveling my own marriage, thread by fragile thread, until a single text message lit up her phone in the dead of night. It was innocuous at first glance. Can't wait for tomorrow. But the sender's name, buried under a generic contact, sent a chill through me that no blanket could warm. What would you do if the person you trusted most started slipping away right in front of you, leaving only shadows and half-truths behind? Hey everyone, my name's James, and I'm 38, an architect in a mid-sized city where the skyline feels as stable as my life once did. I've been married to Sarah for 10 years. High school sweethearts who turned into partners, parents, the whole package. We have 2 kids, Mia, our spirited 7-year-old with her mother's curly hair, and Ethan, 5, who's all energy and endless questions. My days are filled with blueprints and client meetings, evenings with family dinners and bedtime stories. I thought we had it figured out, that our love was the kind that weathered storms without breaking. Sarah's a teacher, passionate about her 3rd graders, always coming home with stories that made us laugh over pasta. But lately, I've been replaying those moments, wondering how I missed the cracks forming beneath the surface. It started subtly, like the first drop of rain before a downpour. That evening, as I sat in our living room, the warm glow of the lamp casting long shadows across the worn leather couch, Sarah breezed in from work. The air carried the faint scent of her lavender shampoo mixed with something sharper, perfume she hadn't worn in months. She pecked me on the cheek, her lips cool and quick, before heading to the kitchen. I noticed her fingers drumming lightly on the counter, a nervous habit she'd had since college, but her smile seemed forced, the corners not quite reaching her eyes. Long day? I asked, trying to sound casual, but my mind was already whispering doubts. She nodded, pouring a glass of wine with a slight tremble in her hand. As the kids played in the next room, their laughter echoing like a distant melody, I felt the room's temperature drop, or maybe it was just me. The clock ticked softly on the mantel, each second amplifying the silence between us. Sarah glanced at her phone, her thumb hovering over the screen before she set it face down. A new ritual that gnawed at me. In my head, I rationalized it. Stress from school, maybe parent-teacher conferences piling up. But deep down, a knot tightened in my gut. Why did her eyes dart away when I asked about her plans for the weekend? That night, as we lay in bed, the sheets cool against my skin, her breathing even but not quite relaxed, I stared at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above. The blades cut through the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains, much like the thoughts slicing through my peace. Was I imagining things? Or was something shifting in our world? Little did I know, that question would lead me down a path I couldn't turn back from. In this introduction, James's psyche is delicately balanced on the edge of denial and awakening intuition. The subtle sensory cues, like the cool peck, trembling hand, and face-down phone, mirror his growing hypervigilance, a common psychological response to perceived threats in intimate relationships. His internal rationalizations highlight cognitive dissonance, where love clashes with emerging evidence of betrayal, fostering anxiety and self-doubt. This setup establishes trust as a fragile construct, prone to erosion from microbehaviors, and foreshadows the emotional toll of suppressing instincts. By immersing in environmental details, the narrative underscores how betrayal often begins not with grand deceptions, but with overlooked shifts in body language and habits, planting seeds of psychological fragmentation that will deepen as the story unfolds. Our days had always followed a comforting rhythm, like the steady hum of the coffee maker each morning in our sunlit kitchen. I'd wake to the aroma of fresh brew, Sarah already up, her hair tied back in a messy bun, stirring oatmeal for the kids while humming a tune from our dating days. The wooden table, scarred from years of family meals, bore witness to our ordinary bliss. Mia's crayon drawings scattered across it, Ethan's toy cars lined up like a miniature traffic jam. The air was warm, laced with the sweet scent of maple syrup, and Sarah's laughter would fill the space as she teased me about my bedhead. "You look like you fought the pillow and lost," she'd say, her eyes sparkling with that familiar warmth. But even then, in those moments, I'd catch her glancing at the clock, her posture straightening just a bit too quickly when her phone buzzed. Work pulled us in different directions. Me to the office downtown, where the buzz of printers and the cool draft from the AC kept me focused on designs for new builds. Her to the elementary school a few miles away. Evenings reunited us, with the kids' excited chatter drowning out the city's distant traffic. We'd cook together, the sizzle of vegetables in the pan mingling with the soft clink of utensils. Sarah's hands, soft from lotion she applied religiously, would brush mine as we chopped onions, a touch that once sent a spark through me. Now it felt perfunctory, her fingers withdrawing a second too soon. I'd watch her from the corner of my eye, noting how she'd angle her body away when texting, the screen's glow reflecting in her eyes like a secret fire. One Tuesday, after dropping the kids at school, I came home early to surprise her with lunch. The house was quiet, save for the faint tick of the grandfather clock in the hall, its pendulum swinging like a metronome to my unease. Sarah was in the bedroom, folding laundry, the fabric softener's floral scent hanging heavy in the air. Her phone lay on the bed, vibrating softly. She snatched it up before I could see the screen, her smile tight, lips pressed into a thin line. "Just a colleague about lesson plans," she murmured, slipping it into her pocket. Her voice had a lilt, higher than usual, and she avoided my gaze, busying herself with a shirt's collar. Inside, my thoughts churned. Was it paranoia, or had her hugs grown shorter, her goodbyes more rushed? Weekends were our sanctuary, filled with park outings where the grass tickled our feet and the kids' giggles rose with the swing set's creaks. But lately, Sarah suggested more me time. A yoga class here, a coffee run there. Last Saturday, she dressed up for what she called a quick errand. Her makeup more elaborate, eyeliner sharp and lips glossed. The mirror in our bathroom fogged from her shower, and as she blow-dried her hair, the hot air carried hints of her new perfume, musky and unfamiliar. "You look nice," I said, leaning against the doorframe, the wood cool under my palm. She laughed it off, but her cheeks flushed slightly, not from the heat but something else. A micro-expression of guilt? My mind raced, replaying her words, searching for cracks. Nights brought the real unease. In bed, the mattress dipped under her weight as she scrolled endlessly, the blue light casting eerie shadows on her face. I'd feel the subtle vibration of incoming messages, her fingers tapping responses under the covers. Once, I rolled over, my arm brushing hers, and she jolted, pulling away as if burnt. The room felt colder then, the sheets tangled like my thoughts. Was she hiding something, or was I projecting my insecurities? I pushed it down, focusing on the steady rise and fall of her chest, but sleep evaded me, the darkness amplifying every doubt. Then came the first real sign, a late-night call she stepped outside to take, her whispers carried on the cool breeze through the cracked window. When she returned, her feet patting softly on the carpet, she smelled faintly of night air and evasion. "Work stuff," she said, but her eyes didn't meet mine. That was the moment the ordinary began to fracture, leaving me wondering what lay beneath. James's initial oversight of Sarah's behavioral shifts, such as rushed touches, evasive glances, and secretive phone habits, represents a common mistake in long-term relationships. Complacency in routine blinds one to subtle changes. This denial stems from a desire to preserve harmony, but it allows betrayal to fester unchecked. The lesson emerges in his growing awareness. By attuning to microdetails like flushed cheeks and higher-pitched voices, he learns that intuition, when ignored, leads to greater pain. Emotionally, this phase teaches the value of open communication over rationalization, highlighting how small unaddressed mistakes compound into irreversible trust erosion. Ultimately, it underscores personal growth through vigilance, transforming passive observation into proactive self-protection. The doubts crept in like fog rolling over the city, thickening with each passing day until I could no longer see clearly through them. Mornings, once filled with shared coffee and light banter, now carried an undercurrent of tension. I'd watch Sarah sip her mug, the steam curling up like unspoken words, her fingers gripping the handle a bit too tightly. The kitchen light, harsh in the early dawn, highlighted the faint lines around her eyes. Fatigue, or something more? Her laughter at Mia's jokes felt forced, a beat too late, and when Ethan tugged at her sleeve, she'd pat his head absent-mindedly, her mind elsewhere. My own thoughts swirled. Was I overanalyzing, turning innocent quirks into omens? At work, the office's fluorescent buzz did little to distract me. Blueprints blurred as I replayed scenes. Sarah's phone lighting up during dinner, her quick swipe to silence it. Who was that? I'd asked casually once. Fork paused mid-air, the metallic tang of sauce on my tongue. Just a friend from work? She replied, her gaze fixed on her plate, knife scraping porcelain with unnecessary force. The air conditioner hummed overhead, but the room felt stuffy, my collar tight. That night, as rain pattered against the windows, I lay awake, the wet earth smell seeping in, wondering about this friend. Her schedule shifted too. Sudden after-school meetings, her car pulling into the driveway later, headlights cutting through the dusk like accusations. One evening, she announced a girls' night with colleagues. Her voice bright, but her hands fidgeting with her necklace, the chain twisting under her fingers. The living room lamp cast a warm glow, but her shadow on the wall seemed elongated, distorted. Have fun? I said, forcing a smile. But as she left, the door clicking shut with finality, a knot formed in my stomach. The house felt emptier, the kids' bedtime stories interrupted by my distracted pauses. I paced the hallway, floorboards creaking underfoot, the cool wood grounding me momentarily. Why the new dress, the extra makeup? Her perfume lingered, cloying and insistent. Suspicion peaked during quiet moments. Late at night, I'd hear her typing in the bathroom, the fan whirring to mask the sound. Once, I knocked softly, the door handle cold in my palm. Everything okay? Silence stretched, then her muffled, yeah, just checking emails. When she emerged, her face flushed, eyes avoiding mine. The minty toothpaste scent couldn't hide the lie. My mind raced through possibilities. Work stress? Family issues? But the pieces didn't fit. Emotional distance grew. Our conversations shorter, her touches rarer, like she was conserving energy for someone else. A weekend trip to the park amplified it. As Mia and Ethan chased butterflies, the grass damp under our picnic blanket, Sarah's phone buzzed incessantly. She laughed at a message, her lips curving in a way I hadn't seen in months. Genuine, secretive. What's so funny? I asked, wind rustling leaves overhead. Oh, nothing, just a meme from the group chat. But her thumb hovered, deleting something quickly. The sun warmed my skin, but inside, a chill spread. That was when intuition solidified. Something was off, irreparably so. By week's end, the suspicion consumed me. Alone in the garage, tools scattered on the workbench, the oily scent sharp, I stared at her parked car. A receipt fluttered from the glove box. Dinner for two, dated during her meeting. My heart pounded, the paper crinkling in my fist. It wasn't proof, but it was enough to shatter the denial. What now? This phase marks progressive stages of suspicion, from initial fog-like doubts to concrete red flags like evasive responses and hidden messages. The point of no return arrives with the receipt discovery, shifting James from passive denial to active acknowledgement, a psychological threshold where intuition overrides rationalization. Emotionally, it illustrates the erosion of trust in stages. Cognitive dissonance gives way to hyper-awareness, then emotional isolation. Sarah's defensiveness and microgestures, such as fidgeting and avoidance, reveal her internal conflict, while James's insomnia and obsessive replaying highlight coping through vigilance. The lesson is that ignoring early stages prolongs pain, but crossing the no-return point fosters clarity, paving the way for confrontation and growth. The receipt burned in my pocket like a live coal, urging me forward into territory I'd never wanted to explore. Mornings became reconnaissance. I'd note her phone's position on the nightstand, the screen's faint glow in the pre-dawn light, before she stirred. The bedroom air was thick with her sleep scent, vanilla from her lotion, but it no longer comforted. My moral compass spun. Snooping felt like a betrayal, yet ignoring the signs was self-deception. At breakfast, as eggs sizzled in the pan, oil popping sharply, I'd glance at her, her hair tousled, eyes heavy-lidded. "Good sleep?" I'd ask, voice steady, but inside, turmoil raged. She nodded, buttering toast with deliberate strokes, crumbs scattering like my crumbling resolve. Workdays dragged, the click of my mouse echoing in the cubicle, air conditioned to a sterile chill. I'd obsess over patterns. Her texts peaked around lunch, silences during evenings. One afternoon, feigning illness, I left early. The drive home was tense, rain streaking the windshield, wipers thumping rhythmically. Pulling up, her car was gone. Another errand. Inside, the house hummed with emptiness, the fridge's low buzz mocking me. I hesitated at her dresser, drawers smooth under my fingers, but found nothing. Relief washed over, warm and fleeting, followed by guilt's cold grip. Was I the villain now? Red herrings toyed with me. A deleted browser history on the shared laptop raised alarms, but it led to innocent shopping sites. Buying gifts, she explained later, her smile disarming, hand on my arm, soft, but withdrawn quickly. Dinner that night, steam rising from pasta, the garlic scent pungent. We talked superficially. The kids' laughter provided cover, but her foot tapped under the table, a restless rhythm. Nightly, insomnia gripped me, the clock's red digits glaring, sheets twisted, thoughts looped. Love her, doubt her, confront or wait. Then momentum built, changing passwords on her accounts, noticed when I tried paying a bill. "Security," she said, but her voice cracked slightly, eyes flickering. I started tracking subtly. App notifications for rideshares during her walks. One evening, as thunder rumbled outside, lightning flashing through curtains, I borrowed her phone for directions. In messages, a thread with colleague Mark, emojis, inside jokes. Deleted, but recoverable in archives. My breath caught, the screen's light harsh on my face. "See you at the party Friday," one read. Party? She'd said girls' night. Moral de lemes piqued. Following her felt invasive, but certainty demanded it. Friday came, humid air heavy with impending storm. She left in a sleek dress, heels clicking on the porch, perfume trailing. I arranged a sitter, heart hammering, and tailed her car through city lights, reflections blurring on wet pavement. She parked at a bar, not her friend's spot. Inside, through the window, fogged from breath, I saw her, laughing with a man, his hand on her back. Photos snapped on my phone, shaky but clear. The rain started, drumming on my hood, mirroring my pounding pulse. Back home, the house dark, silence oppressive. I sat in the study, whiskey burning my throat, glass cool in hand. Proof stared back. Messages, photos, lies. The brink was here, no more denial. If James had confronted Sarah earlier, based on intuition alone, the outcome might have differed. Perhaps denial would persist, or an innocent explanation could emerge, preserving trust temporarily. However, this path of gathering proof highlights the psychological necessity for certainty in betrayal scenarios, avoiding gaslighting or regret. In reality, his methodical approach reveals deeper motivations. Sarah's affair as an escape from routine, James's investigation as a reclaiming of agency. Emotionally, it transforms doubt into empowered clarity, but at the cost of moral strain. An alternative where he ignores signs could lead to prolonged misery, underscoring the lesson that proactive truth-seeking, though painful, fosters authentic growth over illusory peace. The photos on my phone glowed accusingly in the dim study light, each one a dagger twisting deeper. Rain lashed the windows, wind howling like my inner storm, as I waited for Sarah's return. The clock ticked mercilessly, each second amplifying the whiskey's warmth in my veins, steadying my resolve. Headlights pierced the darkness around midnight, her key scraping the lock, hesitant, perhaps sensing the shift. She entered, shaking off droplets, her makeup smudged, dress clinging from the downpour. The air thickened with her perfume, now cloying, mixed with the faint trace of someone else's cologne. "You're up late," she said, voice light but eyes wary, dropping her purse with a soft thud. I stood, the floor creaking under me, and gestured to the couch. "We need to talk." Her posture stiffened, shoulders squaring, a micro-twitch at her jaw. She sat, crossing her legs tightly, hands clasped in her lap, knuckles white. "What's wrong?" The question hung, laced with feigned innocence. I pulled up the messages first, screen casting blue light on her face. "Mark, the party, not girls' night." Her eyes widened, then narrowed, breath-catching. Silence stretched, the rain's patter the only sound, until she whispered, "How did you?" Deflection came swift. "It's not what you think, just friends catching up." Anger simmered, but I kept my voice even, the glass table between us reflecting our distorted faces. "I followed you, saw you with him. His hand on you," the laughs. Photos slid across, her fingers trembling as she scrolled. Tears welled, spilling silently, mascara streaking. "James, It started innocently. Work stress, you were always busy." Blame shifted, her voice breaking. "You never notice me anymore." I felt the shock turn to detachment, my heart pounding but words measured. "So lying, cheating, that fixes it? How long?" Pauses filled the gaps, her sobs ragged. "A few months. I didn't mean to hurt you." The confrontation unfolded in fragments. Her partial confessions, emotional at first, then physical. My questions sharp, probing timelines. "The weekends away? The late nights?" She nodded, head bowed, hair falling like a curtain. Body language screamed regret. Slumped shoulders, averted gaze, but undertones of fear, perhaps for the kids, our home. The room felt smaller, air heavy, the lamp's hum buzzing in my ears. I paced, footsteps muffled on the rug, temperature dropping with the night's chill. Why him? An ex-co-worker. Twist. He's not just anyone. He understands me. Emotional attachment, deeper than I'd feared. Tension peaked in silence, her pleas hanging. "We can fix this." Therapy. But certainty anchored me, the betrayal's weight irreversible. "No. This ends us." Her gasp, hands reaching, but I stepped back. The stillness after was profound. Rain softening to a drizzle, mirroring the ebbing chaos. She left the room quietly, door clicking shut, leaving me in the void. James's restrained anger during confrontation stems from shock evolving into detached clarity, driving actions like presenting evidence methodically to avoid escalation. Sarah's emotions, initial denial, deflection, then tearful confession, reveal guilt mixed with self-justification. Her body language, white knuckles, averted eyes, betraying internal turmoil. This interplay shows how betrayal evokes a spectrum. Hurt prompts withdrawal in James, while fear motivates Sarah's blame-shifting. Actions like pacing and photo sharing symbolize reclaiming control, leading to the emotional peak of breakage. The lesson ties emotions to consequences. Unchecked feelings fuel infidelity, but confronting them head-on fosters empowerment, transforming devastation into a catalyst for decisive separation. Months blurred into a haze after that night, the house echoing with absence as Sarah moved to her sister's, boxes stacked like barriers in the hallway. Mornings dawned brighter somehow, sunlight filtering through kitchen windows, warming the counter where I brewed coffee alone. The aroma grounded me, a ritual reborn without tension. The kids adjusted slowly, Mia asking questions with wide eyes, Ethan clinging during drop-offs. But we co-parented civilly, schedules typed out on shared calendars, minimal contact laced with formality. Family reactions varied. My parents' quiet support over phone calls, their voices steady amid the static. Friends' awkward sympathies at barbecues, beer bottles clinking in toasts to new beginnings. Practical fallout unfolded methodically. Legal consultations in sterile offices, air scented with fresh paper and ink, where I signed divorce papers with a steady hand, the pen scratch finalizing freedom. Finances divided, house sold, equity split, the realtor's sign creaking in the wind outside our former home. Sarah's behavior shifted, initial remorse in texts. "I'm sorry, can we talk?" Met with my boundaries, responses brief and firm. She seemed detached now, focused on her own therapy, our paths diverging like roads after a fork. Empowerment bloomed subtly. I took up running, sneakers pounding pavement at dawn, cool air filling my lungs, endorphins chasing away grief. Hobbies resurfaced. Sketching designs in a new apartment, walls bare but mine, the charcoal's soft scrape therapeutic. Social life revived. Dinners with old friends, laughter genuine under string lights on patios, glasses clinking without undercurrents. Dating emerged tentatively. Coffee dates where conversations flowed without shadows. Therapy sessions, the counselor's office warm with lamplight, helped unpack the betrayal. Trust shattered but rebuildable within myself. Sensory shifts symbolized it. Mornings with birdsong instead of silence. Textures of new sheets crisp and unshared. Temperatures warmer without emotional chill. Micro-emotions surfaced. Relief in solitude. Sadness in quiet moments. Peace in routines. The kids thrived. Their drawings now of Daddy's new place. Colors vibrant. Nearly 30% of marriages face infidelity. A statistic that once terrified me but now contextualizes my story. I'm not alone, and survival is possible. It taught vigilance over blindness, self-worth over dependency. As I walk outside now, breeze rustling leaves, I know this was my rebirth. James's arc from trusting husband to empowered individual illustrates betrayal's transformative power, his internal monologues revealing denial giving way to resilience, motivated by love for his children and self-respect. Sarah's character, driven by unmet emotional needs, embodies the complexity of infidelity. Not villainy, but human frailty, her remorse highlighting regret's futility without change. The narrative's psychological realism, via sensory details and micro-behaviors, contrasts expectations of eternal bliss with reality's fragility, showing stages from suspicion to closure. Cumulative lessons emphasize communication's role in preventing erosion, while growth emerges from pain. James's independence fosters hope, underscoring that forgiveness isn't obligatory, but personal healing is. Emotionally, the story offers catharsis, reminding audiences that betrayal breaks but doesn't define, leading to profound empowerment and renewed life.